I said, he's so sweet and the rapper. Remix, baby. Lollipop, lollipop. Voice is just like lollipop.
It's Thursday afternoon, high noon, episode 2 of PMS Pugs Moran Show. Can we close that door? The echo that occurs because of that door being open is a little bit frustrating to my trained technical broadcast ear. Hi, folks. Pugs Moran here alongside, as always, Jimmy Ryan is tweaking the knobs, and today a very, very special appearance by one Sam the Mailman. Hi, Sam. How are you?
I'm awesome. I actually had a very exciting morning. I tweeted something to Alyssa Milano, and she retweeted it.
Isn't that the greatest thing when people tweet back to you?
Well, she just retweeted it, but left my username on it. But she didn't actually tweet to me directly.
Have you ever had a celebrity directly retweet to you, and then you find yourself in like a conversation with them, and you're like, wow, this is cool?
Yeah, I did that with Sean Patrick Flannery when he was in town, and we interviewed him a couple of years ago. Okay. And I just tweeted him, thanks for coming on, and talked to him for a minute, and he replied, hey, it was fun. And
I'm always shocked when they reply. Yeah. Okay, of your 1 million followers, somehow my tweet stuck out to you? I'm flattered. How about Jimmy? Has that ever happened to you?
It has, but like when I got really excited, nobody understood why necessarily, or it was
Skrillex. It was Skrillex.
No, it was
we
actually
covered yesterday.
It was the guy who started the Pirate Bay, the website, and he was
the big fat Australian guy.
No, that's another guy. That's him.com. But
yeah. Okay.
This is the Pirate Bay. It's like a torrenting website. They've been in like a lot of legal trouble.
Yeah, I'm aware of him. I just didn't know there was one dude. There's one dude that's sort of the head pirate.
He's kind of like the head guy who like started up the entire thing, and then has 2 guys underneath him. But he's like kind of like the voice of the entire thing. So yeah, I was trying to get a interview going with him. We had a little bit of a correspondence going. I'm completely geeking out, and then he stopped responding. So. That's when I
right at some point, that's so embarrassing when you push it too far. When you're the last person to engage, you like to let the celebrity be the last person to engage,
right? Because
then you, in some way, can feel like you've left them hanging.
Yeah,
which has got to be some source of pride or inspiration for a regular Joe like you and I.
Yeah, like they went to sleep that night and they were like, "Why didn't he tweet back?"
It happens with me a lot on my Twitter because a lot of MMA fighters and a lot of MMA people are really, they're like NASCAR. NASCAR drivers are so fan friendly, and so MMA guys are just like that too. Like Randy Couture is one who is known to like tweet directly back if he sees your thing. Mm-hmm. Dana White, I've had one-on-ones where Dana White has responded to something that I've said, and I've been like, oh, now I'm on the radar. Hope he wasn't upset. He could blackball me from this whole thing. But no, he was cool. And Joe Rogan too. Joe Rogan has. I once I don't even remember what the joke was, but I once put a joke out about something that was happening at one of the fights, or it was before a fight. And Joe Rogan tweeted me right back.
Wow.
He's like, hey, and he like tweeted me like he remembered doing my show like 10 times, which you never assume they remember.
Yeah.
Because they do so many.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I love that aspect of Twitter, that you actually can have a one-on-one communication with a celebrity. It's all up to the celebrity, but you never know.
And there's some celebrities that just do it so well. They're so good about constantly doing that. Like I cannot even get myself to constantly tweet. It's seriously hard work for me to think, I should probably tweet something out or something like that.
Yeah, you got to train yourself.
Yeah, these guys, it's like Alyssa Milano. She's constantly on there. She's constantly putting out content, constantly talking to people. It's just they're already.
Is it her though? Like on the MMA fighters, I know it's them because they don't make enough money to have people that do it for them.
Yeah.
No, it is her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty geeky actually. So
Oh, that's kind of hot. That's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, we're talking about ways you can listen. TheBarLive.com. Certainly, that's the website. You're going to want to go check that out. All podcasts from other shows that we'll be unveiling here over the course of the next couple of weeks will be available there, including the ones that we currently have. For instance, last night we did the big tapings for Big Dave, his show, along with, I think we have to call it Big Dave, Mel, and Lane, right? Isn't that?
Is that the new stipulations?
Well, I don't know. There's 3 people on that show. 2 of them want it to be called that. 1 of them don't. So I'm going to go with the majority. So the Big Dave, Lane, and Mel show, they recorded yesterday, and some interesting stuff happened there.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into that. Do we have some audio or something that we'll play? Or
we do,
something? Yeah. Okay, so we'll get into that from yesterday. Also, what else? Facebook pages. We need to tell you about the Facebook page. Facebook page, The Bar Live on Facebook. During the course of the show, That's going to be your place to sort of instantly communicate with us. Although we do have a phone number. We've never taken a call. We do have a phone, and we have the capability to call. Jimmy, what's the phone number?
Yes, it's 214-736-3569.
Jimmy, one more time. What's that phone number?
214-736-3569.
All right. Still my broadcast chops. Always say the number twice. Always give it to him twice.
Because they were always going for the pin the first time around.
Yeah, wait, stop. Hold on. Wait, what was that? Yeah, exactly. All right. I'm looking at my Facebook page. Let me ask you something, Sam. Please don't say the name because this is one of the most darling people that I know in my life. But what do you think of this woman right here? I just hit this picture. What do you think of that woman?
She's cute.
One of my Facebook friends. That was one of the hottest girls in high school.
Oh, wow.
And I still think she's a beautiful woman. You know, she's not wearing any makeup, which is a good indicator that when she gets dressed up, she looks really good. But man, getting old, man. There are these reminders of getting old everywhere I turn. Like when I see these masturbatory fantasies of mine on Facebook 20 years later, and I'm like, no, we can't be together now. Not even in my fantasy. You know? It's like, let's look at her daughters, because they all got like 18, 19-year-old daughters.
Right.
Now. Yeah, and I was just a friend of mine on Facebook just scrolled something, and I put it on her picture, and she posted a new picture of herself, and I'm actually, my point on this is that I think that she's holding up. She looks great because she's taking a picture of herself, a mirror picture with no makeup or anything. Well, here, you can see her. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you tell no makeup. She slaps some makeup on. You put a party dress on her. She is a good-looking woman.
Yeah.
Redheads are good-looking women. She's one of the good redheads. She's not a Kathy Griffin redhead. She's a Nicole Kidman redhead. There are two classifications of redhead.
Now, did you like or comment on this picture?
No.
Now, this is...
I haven't talked to her in 20 years. Other than like 9 months ago when she accepted my friend request. That's the most communication we've had since graduation.
This is what I always think is like kind of funny about being on Facebook is that you can put something out there and it doesn't get a single response, but it got a response. Like people like already like looked at it, they were talking about it.
Right. She has no idea there's a radio show in Dallas right now commenting on the picture that she put up.
That's what's so odd about it is that you can be like, apparently that just fell on deaf ears. No.
Wow, she is. And by the way, just for anybody, I know I've got some high school friends that listen. I've reconnected with a lot of high school friends because of Facebook.
Yeah.
And a bunch of them are, promising that they're going to listen. I don't know, they're promising. It's not like I asked them, but so I just want to state that everyone who knows me from high school knows that I had friends from 3 different high schools. This is not anyone who went to Victor J. Andrew. So I'll just put that out.
Okay,
there.
glad to clarify.
Well, just for people listening, so because there are a number of pretty redheads that I went to high school with, specifically at Victor J. Andrew, who might be thinking, is he talking about? No, this is not. This is one of my other high school friends from one of those other district schools.
Hey, Pugs from the chat room. Sean Ball says you look like you're skinny again, Pugs.
No, John, thank you, dude. I appreciate that. That's really great, but I am getting so fat. The shirt that I'm wearing, okay, I have 2 of these shirts because I liked it, and it became sort of the shirt I would wear in pictures and stuff like that. And I have an extra large, and I have a double extra large. I had retired the double extra large and then got the extra large because I had lost weight. I can't wear the extra large anymore in this shirt. This is double extra large, and it's feeling a little tight. So thank you. I appreciate that. Nice comment. But no, I'm gaining weight, and I'm looking for a diet plan. Looking for a diet plan to sponsor me this summer to get me. And that's my dream. It has always been my dream to get paid to go on a diet.
Yeah, that is the ultimate inspiration.
Oh, like Jessica Simpson getting the $3 million deal to do Weight Watchers.
Oh yeah, you see that? And radio people used to get that all the time.
Yeah.
No one ever came to me and said, "Hey, you want to do a diet plan for endorsement?" I'd be like, "Yes, of course I will," because that's motivation to actually lose the weight. That the money is coming. But no. You know what they always came to me with? Interested in hair replacement? No. No, I'm really not. Every year, like clockwork, a salesperson at 105.3 would come to me and say, it was always a new salesperson because, they have turnover. And the same person would come to me at the same time with the same doctor or whatever, and they would say, and they'd be real careful about it because they don't want to offend me. Because guys, A lot of guys are really like self-conscious about their hair. I'm not. I've been shaving my head since I was 25 years old. I mean, I was in a car accident, a really bad car accident when I was 17, and I got basically the front of my head taken off. So I have had problems with that area of hair since I got the top of my head taken off. So around 25, I just started shaving my head, and I'm totally comfortable with it, completely comfortable with my look. I don't miss not having hair. I'm not one of these guys that tries to hide it. I wear a hat a lot of times because when you have a bald head, you burn. And when you're my complexion, you really burn. And the top of the head with a blood blister, not good. So the hat isn't so, like if you see me, if I go out, if we're out like on a Friday or Saturday night, we're dressed up, I'm not wearing a hat. You know, I don't try and hide it.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, I don't, it's not a big deal. I mean, please. Thank God though. Thank God that white guys, there was a time when white guys could not shave their head. If they did, they looked like Mr. Clean or Kojak.
Yeah.
You know, that was it. Hey, Kojak. Then Michael Jordan started to go bald in the mid-'80s, and he shaved his head. And then every black guy that was losing their hair shaved their head to be like Michael Jordan. So it became sort of ground zero for head shaving in the black community, where it was acceptable and then women found it attractive. And then just like everything else black people pioneer, the white people jumped on, and now suddenly it's all right for white people to have a shaved head.
Wow.
But you know what I live in fear of? The day will come when the shaved head is weird again.
Right.
That day will come.
It's inevitable.
And then I'll have to have like this professor toilet bowl thing going on.
So that's really what people were doing before Michael Jordan took that chance and started shaving his head.
Yeah, I mean, you know all those people. You see a bald guy and they all have like that toilet bowl thing going on. No old guy with a. There really aren't many guys over 30 or 35 who are bald who have the toilet bowl thing. That's a past generation.
Yeah.
People now just shave it down completely. So whenever you see a guy with that, toilet bowl thing going on, he's usually probably post 40.
Yeah.
Because that's how it looked when they were coming up. They're not used to shaving at all.
Right.
They still think it's Kojak or something.
Some nice food for thought.
Yeah, all right. All right, well, let's see. My redheaded high school friend still looks good. All right, a couple of things we want to get into here at the top of the show. Some stories to kick everything off with. I'm trying to think if I miss anything. Is there anything that I wanted to get into that I wanted to mention? Feels like there is. All right, well, we won't waste any more time with that. You guys following the story about this airplane, this airplane in Indonesia?
I caught something like really quickly, but I didn't get any details.
Man, that's just so creepy. It's just, are you a good flyer, Jimmy Ryan?
A good flyer?
Yeah, like do you need to like lube up with some kind of intoxicant before you get on a plane like I do?
No, I definitely appreciate it, because I'll be, especially during the takeoffs, I'll be like kind of extra nervous, but I'm usually able to get through.
Jimmy, Sam, what about you? You a good flyer?
Yeah, I'm a good flyer. I don't mind flying. I just get the seats are uncomfortable. That's the only thing with me.
When I was hitting on all cylinders, I used to have my Valium for the plane, regardless of the flight. I would have to take a Valium, and I would take the Valium like 90 minutes before getting on plane. Actually, it went like this. Especially if we're leaving from DFW. Chili's 2, right there in the DFW terminal. Sit there, I get my hot wings, and I get a shot of Jameson, and I drink a beer, right? Then I take my Valium, and I wash it down with my alcohol. I eat my wings, and then by the time I go to my gate, I am flying. So I just sit in my chair, and it's all good, and there's no worries, I don't know. I never sleep. It's funny.
That damn thing could go down, and you'll just be as calm as you could be.
Yeah, I will. I'll be cool with it. It's all right. I've never flown with my son. I don't think I can do that when flying with my son. Cause I don't think zonked out, Valiumed out dad and kid jumping around on the seat, everything is probably a good look for me. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. The worst flight I ever had. We were leaving. It was Kelly and me when we were leaving Iceland. We did a trip in Iceland a couple years back, and I just remember having it was going to be it's a long flight. It's not Europe. It's basically halfway to Europe, so it's like five hours or something like that. And we took off in really bad weather. And as we were ascending from the Reykjavik International Airport, we had to go straight up. It was the most. Not usually it's a gradual ascension. Right. No, we were vertical. almost. I mean, we were going straight up because of these wind shears around, the Arctic. Apparently, it gets really bad, and it wasn't anything strange. Like the stewardesses assured us that this was normal. Yet I heard all the dishes crashing in the galley. That's normal. I would think you would stow those more properly if it's normal to have that steep of an ascension when you're leaving Iceland. But then the plane started rocking back and forth, like the wind started hitting it. So we're going straight up like a rocket, and we're going back and forth, and everybody is white knuckle flying at this point.
Wow.
And I look out my window, and I see icebergs. It was just like, if we go down, this is going to suck.
Oh.
This is going to suck. But for that particular flight, I think I took 3 Valium and I had a bottle of champagne. And by the time we had leveled off, the bottle of champagne was gone. And I look across the aisle because Kelly and I weren't sitting together. We were sitting, like there was a seat between us and an aisle and then her seat on the aisle. And I'm looking at her, and her finger indentations are probably still in that armrest. You want to talk about a white knuckle flyer. She's even worse than me. And I think she actually rubbed off on me. That's why I started having to take Valium. But yeah, that was the absolute worst. But I trust that these people in Indonesia, these poor people, these 100 souls or so, I think it's 50 souls that were on board. And that's what they say when a plane goes down, souls. They refer to them as souls. Have you ever noticed that?
No.
Yeah, I don't know when that started or how that started, but I think it's a more... I think it's nicer than I don't know why they do it. There's something about why they refer to people who die in a plane crash as souls on board. But at any rate, so there was this brand new Russian airliner called a Superjet. And the people who built it in Russia are taking it around the country, trying to sell it to those local countries' airlines. And Indonesia was the stop yesterday, where this Russian Superjet went. And Superjet is a misnomer. It's not like a giant jet or anything. It's just a new jet. It's actually not very large. It's not as big as like a 727. It's a little bit smaller. Seats, I think, about 60 people comfortably. But it looks like it's a nice-looking commercial airline jet. Yeah. So they do this thing where the Russians, they bring the jet down to Indonesia, and they load everybody up. Come on, we got this awesome new plane. Let's get all the press on board. Let's get all the wacky Jakarta morning shows on board. If they have them. I don't know. Pretty cool, though, that I knew Jakarta would be the big city there in Indonesia. So they get everybody on board. There are a couple of representatives from the Indonesian government there. There are people from the Russian embassy. There are the people who designed the plane. And they take off, and everything is beautiful. It's a shiny new plane. They're probably serving champagne and caviar, and everybody's having a good time. And then the plane disappeared from radar. Nobody could find it. Like about 15 minutes into the flight, it just went away. And for 24 hours, they looked for this thing. They had no idea where it went. I don't mean to make light of it because it's horrible, but when I giggle telling the story, it's only because I'm a horrified passenger all the time anyway. So I can only imagine what these poor people were going through. These poor souls were going through. And they found it. They found it last night at about 3:00. It was the story I was sort of watching all day yesterday because I figured, how big is Indonesia? You know? Yeah. I mean, this is me thinking, how big is Indonesia? A plane can go down and they can't find it? Turns out Indonesia is the 4th largest nation on the planet. I had no idea. I thought Indonesia was like an island or two islands. You know what I mean?
It does sound like an island.
It does. But it's not, what it is it's a collection of islands and other things, and they just, it's not all connected. There's water in between. But yeah, it's apparently a pretty sizable area there that they were searching. Crashed right into a mountainside. Everybody dead. Awful. First of all, it's probably not going to reflect well for that Russian aerospace company. They're probably not going to sell many more of these planes.
I hope this wasn't like a big funding thing that they were trying to do. Like, we can definitely get funding on the other end of this one.
Yeah, right. Oh, this is going to go great. They're gonna, no. I think they're pretty much done with this. Or like, what a setback. So that's a terrible, terrible story. Indonesia had this happen. They found the plane, found bodies scattered all over the mountainside. Straka, I think, is the name of the mountain that they said it crashed into. But
yeah, I just the last I had heard was yesterday that there was just a missing plane.
Yeah.
And that was the most odd headline I'd ever seen because like it'd been missing for like hours
Usually
already.
Usually when a plane goes missing, within 15 minutes where it is. It's an explosion on the ground. Somebody sees it, but this thing crashed into the side of a mountain.
Wow.
Just boom, right into it. what are the odds? I mean, you know they flew it before they took it to Indonesia. I mean, if a plane isn't going to crash, you would think it would be the one that the people who built the plane, it would be the flight that the people who built the plane are going on to impress people that might want to buy the plane. You would think that would be the safest flight to go on.
Yeah, just like if
double and triple checking everything.
Yeah. It's like how if you ever worked in like a restaurant, like the day before they come in to actually inspect the place, the manager's running around going, "Hey, we really got to clean this place this time."
We really got to clean it. Yeah, exactly. It's like that. So, well, that's just a horrible story. And I was following it all day yesterday, and you're right. The headline was the reason that I was following it because it was such a curious headline. The idea that a plane in this modern age could just go missing. And not go. By the time the story landed on my radar, it had been off their radar, literally, for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, this thing's been missing since last night? What do you mean since last night? They can't find it? So all day yesterday, I'm watching the news reports trying to figure out whether they found it. Because my immediate thought was, this sounds like, okay, first of all, it's called the Superjet. It's made by Russians. It's in Indonesia. It's like the maiden flight of the Superjet. I thought, doesn't this sound like something that like some evil genius would do? Like, I will steal the Superjet, something like that. Like it would be the plot to some like James Bond movie where all these dignitaries go missing. But you don't think it crashed. You think some evil genius had it on some island in Indonesia,
I think that the Russians were probably just trying out something crazy that they wouldn't want to actually tell you before you got on the plane, but they were probably trying out some new thing that they wanted everybody to jump on board with.
Was the pilot showing off? Yeah. Was the pilot showing everything this baby can do? Yeah. And apparently some of it that it can't. All right, terrible story there, but that ended yesterday. Last night about 3 o'clock in the morning, our time, is when I saw that CNN finally started breaking Russian jet found in Indonesia. So that's absolutely horrible. But okay, the big story yesterday that I think we need to touch on, and again, I went on this big rant about how we're not going to be doing politics or any of this kind of stuff, but the big story yesterday, just as the show was concluding, was the announcement that our President Obak Barama,
yes,
I'm going to call him now. That's my new parody character. I'm working on it. The voice is coming. But I got the name, Obak Barama. He finally came out and said what absolutely everybody has always known about this guy, and that is that he supports gay marriage. And boy, oh boy, Sam and Jimmy, I got to tell you, did this start a debate on my Facebook page last night?
Really?
And by the way, folks, look, I'm trying to get you to go over to thebarlive.com to have these discussions, but it was the discussion that grew on my personal page was so good I couldn't move the discussion over to another page because I was just really getting hot and really getting involved in it. So we had to do that there. But from this point forward, all of these stories that you'll hear, all of the content on the show, everything that we're going to be covering will be posted over there on that page. And it'll be posted over there on that page before the show, so you can get a nice idea of some of the things that we'll be talking about. But the president's admission that he does support gay marriage, I stated, was one of the most historic moments in my lifetime. The very fact that the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, the sitting president, because presidents, when they leave office, they always say stuff that you wish they had said when they were in office.
Right.
But because they're politicians and they're going to run for re-election, they don't say this stuff because they pander. And at their core, they are all scum-sucking S-bags. All of them. It's the lesser of two evil all the time. You might be a Barack Obama supporter. You might be a Mitt Romney supporter. But please don't tell me that either of these two are what you dream about in a leader, because they're not. They're politicians, and our system has sort of created this, and this is just what we have to deal with. So every election for the rest of our collective lives are going to be elections about the lesser of two evils, and that's what we have right now. Now, I happen to be of the opinion that gay marriage, you know what, I don't even want to say gay marriage because I hate gay marriage. I hate the word gay marriage because I think that that's leading. Same-sex marriage is what I'm more comfortable calling it, okay? I've always believed that what the hell is the problem here? What is the big argument against this? Jimmy, Sam, I guess I really don't know your take on it, but Jimmy, what do you feel about gay marriage? And I'll lead you a little bit further. Any feelings about Obama wavering for the last 4 years on, well, it's an evolving philosophy of mine, and I'm not entirely. I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, but I'm also for civil unions, and the subject of gay marriage is something that, and this is the quote that drove me nuts, evolving for me.
Right.
What do you think of that?
I'm definitely with you on that, but the main thing that has kind of driven me kind of crazy with Obama in particular is that he was so ready to go in, and then immediately got to half-assing it, and like
immediately got to kissing the ass of everybody. Everybody that put him in office wanted him to be a tough guy, and he promised that he would. He promised that things would change, and immediately, you're absolutely right, he continued the Bush tax cuts. He didn't do anything. He didn't get us out of the wars the way he said in the timely fashion that he had promised. There were just all kinds of I'm not gonna say he half-assed it. He pussy-assed it. Yeah. He was afraid. He was trying to be the nice guy that the guys on the other side of the aisle would someday wake up and go, you know what, I like him. Let's work with him. It's not how politics work. They may love you. They may think you're a great guy. If you weren't in politics, you guys might go out drinking together. But they don't like you. If you are blue and they are red, they don't like you. If you are red and they are blue, the blues don't like you. It's just how it is.
And you would have thought that after going through an entire election process that he would have picked up on that. The fact that these guys are not people that are going to be working with him. That if the Democrats even
it's the reason Rahm Emanuel left. It's the reason Rahm Emanuel left as White House chief of staff and went and ran and became mayor of Chicago. Because Rahm Emanuel is an ass kicker. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. He doesn't suffer fools. If he wants something done, he gets it done, and he will ham-fistedly bully you to get it done. And that's where he and Obama, who are very close friends, that's where they differed. Rahm Emanuel wanted Obama to be tougher. He wanted him to be more direct, and Obama was being advised by other people to be more political. So that's why we had change over the chief of staff. People think, oh, he just wanted to run for mayor of Chicago. No, he did, but that opportunity presented itself because he needed to get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go ahead. I cut you off.
Oh, no, I think that's basically it. I just got right to that and just felt like we were just kind of sitting in the middle of like a waiting game. And then like in the back of my head, I was thinking, you know what, second term, he gets to be himself. But like it's a bit aggravating to have to wait.
Yeah, that's the flaw in our system.
Yeah.
The second term is when we get the real guy. We have to do 4 years of some guy kissing ass and bending over backwards to make the other side of the aisle seem happy. Sam, what about you? Gay marriage? I assume I know your take is on this.
No, everyone should be allowed to be equal rights.
It's about love, isn't it? It's just about love. Why are you harshing people who are in love? Just because you don't think that it's right for a man to love another man or a woman to love another woman, who cares? Look, I don't think it's right either because it doesn't appeal to me. And when I say right, it's not like I think you're wrong if you're gay. What I mean is I am wired to be attracted to women. And so anything else is odd to me. Like, wow, how could that happen? I could not physically consummate a sexual relationship with you or Sam. I couldn't.
Well, this is very upsetting.
I know you were hoping. The blood wouldn't rush to the right places. I am not wired that way. So what I do have is compassion for people and an understanding that not everyone's wired the same way. And I understand that just because you're not wired like me doesn't make you bad, doesn't make you worse, doesn't mean that I have some right to say, no, my way is the right way. It means that I go, figure that, and move on and mind my own business. That's all it's about. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do a little bit more on this. Plus, we got more news stories. We've got a douche tournament to get to. And we're going to talk a little bit about something that happened here at the Bar Live last night during the Big Dave, Mel, and Lane show. All that plus Sam and Jimmy coming up. It's PMS, the Pugs Moran show on thebarlive.com. It's the barlive.com Pugs Moran Show. PMS, heard every day, noon to 2 right here on the barlive.com. Sam the mailman is here, so is Jimmy. You can give us a call. Jimmy, what's the phone number one more time if people want to call? We've only got one line, so
it is
good luck.
It's 214-736-3569.
One more time, Jimmy.
214-736-3569.
All right, getting back into the big historic story from yesterday, the President of the United States has, a President of the United States has come out and said that those struggling with acceptance, the gay community out there, the President has said that you have a right to be married. You have a right. I believe you have a right to be married. A sitting president. hugely historic moment. Excuse me. Not only for the United States of America, but for civil rights. And I understand, look, historic doesn't mean good. 9/11 was historic. I got people coming at me going, oh, it was like the worst thing that could ever happen. Still historic?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Why are you arguing with my word? People always, they're always on, they got their swords ready and their spears sharpened and they're always ready to engage. But historic, dummies, doesn't mean that I'm endorsing it, although I am right now fully and wholeheartedly endorsing what the president did. But historic doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. You have to accept that there was good history and that there's bad history.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. This President Barack Obama, who I did not support. I did support him at the very end. At the very end, the final days leading up to the election, I was kind of like, this could be interesting. Maybe we do this. So we knock off the black guy as president chit from our list of things that we got to do. We check that. That's a good thing. That's progress. I'm all about progress. Maybe next we get a woman. But no, I mean, I was a John McCain guy, and I have been a John McCain guy for years and years and years. And it's because essentially at my heart, what I am is I'm I'm fiscally conservative. Mm-hmm. I believe in smaller government. I believe in less government intervention in our lives. I believe in all these libertarian values, which are in lockstep with traditional conservative values. But I'm also socially progressive. I'm very socially progressive. And that's also in lockstep with libertarianism. Now, I don't go so far as to say that I'm a libertarian because Ron Paul can't represent me, okay? Can't. If that's the shining beacon of libertarian, I don't want some old creepy country coot doctor being the guy that I look to. But, that's what people are up to. That's what people are worried about, and he's absolutely still in this race. And I will give Ron Paul credit. He has always been all right with the gay marriage thing. The two things that I know for absolute certain about this president, Sam the mailman, one, I know that he has always supported gay marriage. Regardless of what he has said publicly, he has always supported it.
Right.
In 2006, he supported gay marriage. In 2008, when he was running for president, he didn't so much support gay marriage as much as he supported civil unions.
Right. Because at the time in the election, instead of just coming out and saying it, he played it safe.
Exactly. And the other thing that I'm absolutely certain of is that this president was being disingenuous, horribly disingenuous, and politically motivated when he did sort of waver off the I'm for gay marriage. So we know that.
Do you think because he knows he's facing Romney and Romney's an idiot and nobody – I mean, obviously there are Republicans, but for the most part, I think he just feels like he could do it now also because I don't think he really feels threatened by Romney.
Yeah, I don't think they're all that worried about Romney. Yeah. I know this for a fact. I do not want President Mitt Romney. This guy is an a-hole. And we will get to another story that just reinforces my belief that he's an a-hole. And even my conservative friends, and I have many conservative friends, even they don't love this guy. Even they're like, but I just hate Obama so much, I'm going to put a guy in that's probably going to be worse for us. He's a terrible individual. If you are a regular, I'm talking about Mitt Romney. If you are a regular all-American workaday Joe and Jane, Mitt Romney has absolutely nothing in common with you, and he is the guy that you root for bad things to happen to. That's who Mitt Romney is.
And if Romney gets in there, it's just going to be another 4 years of nothing getting done because a Republican president, if the Democrats hold the Senate, it's just going to be the same thing. no one's going to pass anything. Nothing's going to get through. So
yeah, I like the idea of another 4 years of Barack Obama. I don't want to change, as Reagan said, horses in midstream. This is a negative moving in the direction of Mitt Romney. We're just going to go back to all of these. We're progressing. And that's why I like to say that I'm socially progressive. Because I'm telling you, if you tell anyone in this world, does anyone here in this room describe themselves as liberal?
As liberal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
You openly, like, if you meet somebody out and they're like, oh, so, well, I'm a liberal. You say that?
Oh, I don't say it like that, but if they ask me, but I'm totally not a conservative.
Man, I'm telling you, admitting that you're a liberal puts you somewhere on the list between bestiality and pedophilia among things you don't want to be known as. They have the pussy liberals out there. And that's the thing about being a liberal. Oh, we all care about each other. We're pussies. The pussy liberals out there never fought to defend that word. They let that word get trashed. They let it get manipulated. They let it get. It's liberty. The root word is liberty. It's the core value that this nation was founded on. Liberty in the pursuit of happiness. But somehow the liberals over the last 20 years have allowed that word to become. Bleh. So now we're on to progressive. And let's see the douche-tards try and manipulate that word. Progress. Really? You're going to make progress now a bad word? Is that well, you know what? They made being a community organizer a bad thing.
That's true.
So you never know. Yeah, they made giving back to your community. They made the idea of saying no to $1 million Wall Street job a bad thing because he then went and helped poor kids. They made that a bad thing. Dumbasses. I'm
blown away by it. Each election year, they outdo each other, and it's only going to happen again this year. I'm not downplaying that it's going to happen again.
Look, they made this is how manipulated we are. Regardless of what you think of Bush and Gore, in 2000, they made George Bush the draft dodger. The guy who went missing from his National Guard duty. They made George Bush out to be the war hero, and they painted Al Gore as some kind of a sissy. Both Al Gore and George Bush came from incredibly entitled households. Both of them were the children of senators. Yet Al Gore volunteered for Vietnam. He didn't use his daddy's connections to get out. Al Gore saw it as an important part of his personal history and his generation to go there and be a part of it. George Bush used everything in his power to get out of his responsibility. Everything. He was in the Champagne Corps, and yet the media somehow was allowed to be manipulated to the point where the average person thinks that Al Gore is a sissy, even though he volunteered for Vietnam.
Wait, are you talking about John Kerry or Al Gore? That happened again with Al Gore?
I haven't gotten to John Kerry.
Okay.
Yet.
So
John Kerry got swift-boated. Yes,
right.
But before he got swift-boated, they did the same thing to Al Gore.
See, I basically missed that election there. I just remember there being all that turmoil.
John Kerry was shot in action in Vietnam. Okay? He ran against George W. Bush, again, the Champagne Corps. And they came at him and painted John Kerry as somehow the wimp, the traitor, because he went to Vietnam and got shot. And the scummiest political thing, and most people will tell you that the swift voting, certainly on a high national level, is one of the most obnoxious political sort of strategies ever adopted. But it worked. They made John Kerry, they made fun of him because he was shot in the ass. They made it sound like he was running away. Maybe he was, but if someone was shooting at me, I might run away too, even if I was in a war zone. George Bush was not. The only thing George Bush was running away from was his responsibilities as a weekend warrior in the Alabama National Guard. That's what he ran away from. I don't know if you remember this. He went missing for a number of days. He went AWOL. George W. Bush went AWOL from the National Guard, and then somehow it was all smoothed over because it turned out he had a bad dental problem. Like his family wasn't involved in getting all that smoothed over.
I'm sure that would have gone, amazingly well if I had used that as an excuse for myself. That would have worked out fabulously.
Yes,
my tooth was bothering me. Sorry about the last 5 days, guys.
So anyway, the discussion on the message boards, and I've got a lot. You have to understand, I got a lot of friends who are conservative, a lot of really dear, close, good friends. And I also have a lot of friends who are gay, and I even have a couple of friends who are gay conservatives, which I never understood. It's like being a black guy in the Klan. It is. It is. Being a gay conservative is like being a black guy in the Klan.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You are supporting an agenda that is working overtime to pander to people who think that you need to go to hell, not when you die, now. Now you need to go to hell.
That's those people are the ones that really do make. I have a lot of conspiracy theory friends who try to make me believe that they like the government has these crazy chemicals that they can give you to put you under like a spell or something. I almost start siding with them when I start seeing these people that are obviously not supporting what their own best interests are.
Well, here's what it boils down to. Yes, you're right. Yeah, that drives me insane. The NASCAR dad syndrome. You know, we used to have the soccer moms. Now we got the NASCAR dad syndrome. These hardworking, salt-of-the-earth, blue-collar, middle American fathers and husbands and community leaders who make $45,000, $50,000 a year at the tire shop that they run. These guys are voting against their best interests.
Yeah, they're the ones that will yell at you about capital gains tax.
Right. Even though they don't have more than 30 grand in their IRA from 30 years. You know what I mean? They have no money. You are supporting people who have money because the people who have money are promising you that if you come with us, you're going to have money too someday. No, you're not. No, you are not. Everyone is not going to live in the mansion on the hill. Everyone can't live in the mansion on the hill. Somebody's got to build the mansion. Somebody's got to do the roofing, and somebody's got to fix the pipes when the mansion's plumbing goes to shit. That's a fact. We can't have a society of millionaires. So start supporting who you are now, not who you want to be after you win the lotto. Start supporting the causes and all of the agendas that affect you, who you are today, who your children are today. It drives me insane how they vote against their best interest.
Yeah, and then they'll actually argue about it. And even once it comes to the point where they're like, oh, you know what? Maybe like they should have that ringing moment where they're like, oh, wow.
Yes.
That never comes.
No. No, it doesn't come. Because honestly, to be politically engaged, especially today, it takes a lot of work. To be honestly politically engaged, you got to be out of work. You got to watch a lot of CNN. You got to watch a lot of Fox News. You got to watch a lot of MSNBC. You got to watch Charlie Rose, and that is drudgery in itself. But you got to be aware. You got to read newspapers. You got to read everything. In order to have a really well-rounded sense of what's going on and the level of bullshit that is being projected by all of these people, you have to be aware of what all sides are saying about any given issue at all time, and then make up your own mind. But that people don't do that. What people do, and every conservative friend that I have, they don't do that. I know they don't do that because they're good husbands and good family men, and they run businesses, and they're in the office for 10 hours a day, and they come home, and they have a glass of scotch, and they play with the kids, and they watch Bill O'Reilly. Or on their way to lunch, they'll put on Rush Limbaugh. And everything that they say is a parrot of what those guys say. They don't know what's going on. They know what they're being told, and they want to sound like they're engaged, so they basically mimic what they hear so that they'll have interesting things to say at cocktail parties. That is the job of the conservative right broadcast world. The Rush Limbaughs, the Glenn Becks, give these people who otherwise are completely lost when it comes to these issues something to say at a cocktail party so that they sound like they've got something going on. That's all it is.
I always liken it to like one of your friends, like during the football games, where he's like really into sports. But you caught the first half of the game. You're gonna go over to your buddy's house for the second half. During the first half, you hear the announcer say some type of stat about Peyton Manning. And then you go over to your buddy's house, and your buddy says the exact same stat as if he just happened to have that on the old directory of stats.
Right, like you knew that. But that, really, that's how it is with everything, especially sports. It drives me insane with my friends who are sports fans, because I am too. And I do this, I've done this well. Everything that you're going to argue, like if you're arguing with a buddy about sports, if he comes up with some stat like, that hasn't happened since 1977 with the Mets when they played the...
Right.
He just saw that on Sports Center.
Yeah.
Did you get that from Sports Center? Because I know for a fact you didn't know that. I know that that wasn't something that you were hiding in there.
Yeah.
You don't know what the Mets and Phillies did in 1978. You don't. Somebody somewhere else said that, and now you're just parroting it.
Yeah,
and nobody says, I heard on Sports Center. Nobody cites the source. Yeah. Everybody is just, this is what I know because I'm smart.
Yeah.
Oh, man. telling you. All right, well, at any rate, so we had this big balls out discussion. And my friend Thomas, who is one of my Facebook friends, he was at the core of it. And he took a bit of a beating last night from some people. Basically, what I did was I put a post up. And I put the story, President Obama, same-sex marriage should be legal. I put that story up. And what I tagged it with, what I wrote, was wonderfully historic day. Now, I did say wonderfully, so it wasn't like a tragically historic day, but still, people
You
were
do look like you're throwing a bit of glitter around, is it then?
Well, I'm trying to bait the hook, man. You know? I mean, I gotta get these people interested. So, but I do reserve the right to argue what the meaning of history is. And it doesn't necessarily, okay, so you disagree with the word wonderfully. That's what you should have opened with. Don't tell me it wasn't a historic day, because it was a historic day. So my friend Tom, who is he's a reverend, he's a good dude, he's not a bad person, but boy, I'll tell you, some of these people who are otherwise wonderful people, they just come across as, I'll tell you what, suffice to say, it's just mean. It's just mean. Their position is simply mean. Their position is rooted 9 times out of 10 in the Bible, which is not fair. Because you're a bad American. If that's what you're doing, you're a bad American. We have separation of church and state. That's one of the founding ideals of this nation. I believe in the separation of church and state. It's important. That doesn't mean that church gets marginalized. It just means the church doesn't have anything to say about the legislative powers of our government. Church has no say in that because there are too many churches of diverging interests and diverging views. You can't say, like, for instance, there are a lot of Jews in this country. You know, how come the Jews never march about all the crap the Christians say? You know why? Because Jews, for the most part, are cool. Jews, for the most part, understand that you're just a bunch of idiots and this fight isn't worth having right now. But this guy, who is all about the Jesus, I'm going to read you something that he said here, and because I think it's got a lot in common with what a lot of people feel about this issue of the legalization of gay marriage. So I'm just going to read this, okay? Remember now, the response, this is in response to me, wonderfully historic day, okay? Mm-hmm. Oh, man, wait a second. Hold on. Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Here we go. This is the response to my posting up the Obama story with the note, wonderfully historic day. And this comes from my friend Tom, who posted this last night. Okay. Marriage equals one man, one woman. Have you noticed when man mates with man or woman mates with woman, they are unable to produce babies? Yeah, because they're not mating. They're fucking. Excuse me for saying that, but that's what they're doing. They're having sex. They're digging one another, okay? They're not trying to mate. And by the way, I will tell you, I have had plenty of sex with women where I wasn't mating either.
Yeah.
If I mating, it would have been an awful buzzkill. It would have been an accident.
How about next time you're doing that? How about you just cut it out? You know, if this is the way that you live, why don't you just cut it out?
I hope that someone who says something like that is trying to have a baby every time they have sex. Yeah. Every time you have sex, I hope you have a baby.
No, actually, no, we don't.
For society's sake, we don't.
At least keep them in other places. Just keep them guarded off somewhere else.
It says here, have you noticed when man with man or woman mates with woman, they're unable to produce babies? That is what marriage is mostly about, the family. Then it gets personal. Pugs, you have a kid. He came from a woman, not by screwing the butt of a man. There is no, quote, victory when someone says they support same-sex marriages. Just loss of morality. Sorry, people. Guys, fudge-packing guys, and girls twin-toy dildoing is wrong. Plain wrong. Doesn't that seem a little bit mean? Doesn't it seem a little bit aggressive, you know? It's like you're supposed to be a Christian. You're supposed to be a decent person. Can't you use less inflammatory rhetoric to get your point across?
I bet you his last post was like, let's stop school bullying. You know, like he's one of those guys where he just doesn't understand that he is being the bully.
He is the bully, yes. Yeah. And I tried to get that across to him. In my subsequent post in response, I was like, dude, look, you're being cruel. And I had some friends. I had a bunch of friends IMing me about this thread as we were going, and 2 of them were gay, And the gay people were like, can I go off on this guy? Can I go off on this guy? I'm like, no, I want to keep it respectable, because they were mad. I mean, they wanted to tear this guy apart. And one of my gay friends said something to me, and Tom went on to post a couple of more things that hurt some people's feelings. And one of my friends said something that caught me in a bit of a quandary. I felt a bit hypocritical. And they said, if this guy was talking about black people or any other minority in the way that he saw, you would delete them from your thread and you would probably unfriend him. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
But, I don't see it as the same thing. I see it as similar. I see it as an attack on a minority. But the gays can handle themselves. I mean, here I am. I'm holding them back. There are a bunch of gay people that wanted to go after him on my thread, and I'm holding the gays back because I just don't want this to turn into something horribly ugly. I felt I had the situation under control by me and a couple other people who were engaging with Tom. But, man, it just got really ugly, and I just started to think this is not an issue about love. This is an issue about hate. Yeah. That's what this whole gay marriage thing is about. It's about reminding those among us who we're supposed to hate, because just as in any good WWE event, there's got to be good guys and there's got to be bad guys. It's the most simplistic motivator that we as humans have to go on. Hate and fear. That's what drives us more so than anything else. It's our survival instinct. If we hate someone and we fear someone, then we engage with that because that's what gets us going. And it's just so completely antisocial.
And it just seems so extreme that this must be one of the last things that we can clutch on as a society, to turn around and hate. They maybe there's nothing left, and they realize that, and they're just really clutching on to the last groups that they can try to.
Well, that is true. They feel that there is, and this is anti-progressivism. And again, I state that I am a fiscal conservative. I was a supporter of John McCain. And when I say conservatism, I mean real conservatism. I mean John McCain. I mean Barry Goldwater. I mean John Huntsman. I mean people like that. Real conservatism. Not what has been passed off as conservatism over the last 10 years. At some point, the conservatives were losing so much ground in popular elections that they decided that they needed to sell their soul, and they sold their soul to the 700 Club. That's who they sold it to. And conservatism, as it stands in 2012, nowhere near resembles what Barry Goldwater, who is probably the quintessential conservative of our political lifetime, is nowhere near what he stood for or what he wanted. True conservatism, the conservatism of your fathers and of your grandfathers, weren't about gay marriage. They weren't about the Bible. They weren't about God and Christ at all. In fact, true conservatives don't want to have anything to do with religion. Nothing. Because that's the separation of church and state, and true conservatives believe that. It is this unholy influence from the right in the church, that the Christian church specifically. Although, I guess some people are saying that the Mormons are now Christians. I don't buy it. But, so the Mormons are now involved. But this is not conservatism. If you align yourself with these people, you have aligned yourself with pirates. You have aligned yourself with hijackers, people who have taken the best interests and the best motivators that the conservative party had to offer of the last 40 years and corrupted them to the point where they're now manipulating you. And the bottom line here, folks, leave people alone. Leave them to do what it is that they do. Stop with the 10 Commandments. Stop with the Bible. Stop with the Golden Rule is all we need to follow. Do unto others. And you know what? We'll all have a nice life. If we could just follow that one damn commandment, this world would be a much better place, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think it's ironic that, you said, follow the Golden Rule, and at one point during the election, that was booed.
Yes. Yes, it was. And I don't understand it. And it's on both sides. Both sides are completely out of their nut, man. I don't know what kind of leader, and that's the thing. That's what we mean. I'm sorry. We don't have a leader. Barack Obama has not been a leader. Barack Obama has been a politician. What he did yesterday, what he stood up and said, I believe in gay marriage, that is the kind of thing a leader does. And he should have been running on that. But he probably wouldn't have gotten elected because, can't like gays and be the president of the United States in 2008.
Well,
Really?
it's the exact reason why I think that both of us are aggravated. We've kind of talked about it, where he didn't start from the very beginning. I think that he's trying to find anybody to get excited about him again, and this is his only way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because if he's really going to get the vote out, he has to be the guy that he was before the election last year.
Well, that's what everybody says. Just give him another 4 years, and then he'll be the guy that we wanted. Man, look, I don't know about that. I don't know what I'm doing in this election. I know that I can't vote for Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney was asked yesterday about Barack Obama coming out in favor of gay marriage, and this guy says, and like it's like I'm a sampling machine. Everybody said, obviously, Mitt Romney has changed his position on a few things. Obviously, we don't know what the hell Mitt Romney believes, other than he believes he wants to be president. That's what I know about Mitt Romney. Yesterday, when asked about President Obama, Mitt Romney said, and I'm going to try and get this right because and this is not a direct quote. This is just words to the effect of. Mitt Romney says, well, I've always been opposed to same-sex marriage. And then he caught himself because he realizes that when he was governor of Massachusetts just a few years ago, he wasn't against gay marriage.
Yeah.
Massachusetts has legalized gay marriage. He was all for that. This is around the time that he was doing Obamacare. Remember that he now claims he had nothing to do with, even though it was Romney Care first, and the Obama administration kind of used that as the template to do this thing that he now hates. He hates his own child. That's the kind of scumbag this guy is. He hates his own child. So at any rate, I have always been against gay marriage. I have always... And then he caught himself, and there was kind of a beat, like a boop, 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 and he said, since this campaign.
Wow.
He caught himself. He tried to tell the audience that he has always been against gay marriage and then realized that everyone knows that he wasn't always against gay marriage. So he caught himself and he said, since this campaign. So always, Mitt, and since this campaign, that's not always. That's when it was politically convenient for you to change your philosophy so that you could pander to the dumb nuts around us.
Yeah, you can't tag always with something like that.
We're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't walk into your house, like your girlfriend's there, and you're like, oh, well, I'm always in love with you and never cheating on you when you're in town. You can't tag things like that.
Always doesn't mean since you've been running.
Yeah.
Always means you have held firm and fast to this belief. It's a core belief. It's something you truly believe, just as it is to the people that you are pandering to. See, Mitt, it is their core belief. It's not your core belief. We don't know what your core belief is. Why didn't anyone give John Huntsman a chance? That guy was smart. He was conservative. And you know what the problem on John Huntsman was?
Too smart.
He liked Obama.
Oh, is that what? Yeah.
Early on, he had worked in the Obama administration. He was ambassador to China. And early on in his run, and this was the hole that he dug for himself that he could never get out, he was asked point blank, what do you think of Barack Obama as a man? He said, I like him. I like him a lot. I enjoy spending time with him. That was it. You cannot be a conservative in America and say anything even remotely kind about the president of the United States. That is the problem this country faces, and it's the problem that she will continually face until we do something about it. And quite honestly, I don't know what the hell it is we're supposed to do about it.
That's no way to excite a lawn full of people with pitchforks.
No, no, it's not. All right, we'll take a break. It is the Bar Live. When we come back, we've got a douche tournament to get into. We've also we're gonna do a little entertainment. We've got a watch list because tonight is Thursday night. Big night of TV. We'll lay it all out for you. And I think Brandon's going to come in here. We have some audio that we'll do. Oh, man. Woo! We got a lot to do in the next hour. Stay tuned on Facebook. It's thebarlive.com. And on your laptop or app or whatever, however you want to do it, you can go to thebarlive.com and you can get the show. Again, we air every day, noon to 2, right here on thebarlive.com. It's thebarlive.com, PMS, the Pugs Moran Show, every day, noon to 2, right here on thebarlive.com. Get over and check out the Facebook page, please. The space bar, space live on Facebook. It'll come up after you type the in bar. Hit the like button, and remember that all things talked about here on The Daily Show, not all things, but many of the things, will be posted there first. Consider it your cheat sheet for the daily PMS show, an idea, an indicator of the sort of things that I might be interested in on that day or talking about. Sam the mailman is here. Hi, Sam.
Hey.
We've also got Jimmy Ryan hanging out with us.
Good to have you, man.
And now joining us is Brandon. We should say, we come to you live from the legendary Brandon Shaw Sunbrew home. Legendary. And I would also like, until we get a title sponsor for the studio, a studio sponsor, which we are working on, this will now be dubbed the Tom Green Memorial Studio. Because it was Tom Green who was the first person that I knew of who did a show from his house, who actually took this, what we're doing now, 10 years ago. He shocked the world when he said, I'm going to do a show from my house, and it's going to be online. And he built, have you ever seen the studio that he built in his house?
Yes.
Cool bleachers. He's got the bleachers in the living room. And it wasn't, don't be confused, folks. We're not talking about some ridiculous mansion with a spare room that looks like it was converted into a studio. No, it was like the front living room. It still looked like a front living room, but it looked like a front living room had sex with a TV studio. It was cool.
Yeah, it was one of those things where you could tell that it kind of would get aggravating, and he would do every once in a while, he would do like 24-hour streams, and you could tell that he was getting aggravated with the fact that it was like half house, half studio.
Like he had no privacy.
Yeah, like he would walk out of his room, go down the hallway, and then all of a sudden there'd be people hanging out in the living room, and he was just waking up, and the phone would ring.
That's kind of how it is for Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon wakes up in the morning, and there's a house full of people milling about.
Yeah, that happened this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hell, I showed up this week. You weren't even up yet. I'm banging on the door. I turned around and went home for another half hour. Came back. All right. Every day we're going to try and tantalize your senses. We're going to give you a little bit of audio oddities. Yesterday, what did we listen to yesterday? What was the audio? Oh, it was the prostitute hot dog seller lady, right?
Yes.
Today I've got something a little bit less salacious, but something that I thought was pretty interesting. John Hamm. We all know who John Hamm is. John Hamm, the star of Mad Men. One of America's favorite good-looking men.
Yep.
Right? How do we feel about John Hamm? Jimmy Ryan, your thoughts on John Hamm?
You know what? I'm actually not really familiar with him. I was just listening to your description. Yeah.
Sam, John Hamm, what do you
I
think?
like John Hamm. He's cool.
I love this guy. Here's what I love about John Hamm. Okay. I probably don't love. Look, ladies, I probably don't love the same things that you love about John Hamm. Okay. I'm not attracted to him, although I can see that he is a damn fine-looking man, although not nearly as good-looking in real life as he is as Don Draper in Mad Men. John Hamm, of course, the star of Mad Men. I mean, he looks better as he's the slick-back hair and the expensive suits. When you see John Hamm in real life, whether it's hosting Saturday Night Live, his hair is a little bit more doofusier, you know. He's always a little bit more slovenly looking. Like, he always lets his beard grow out. It's almost like in his real life, he's fighting that well-coiffed, well-put-together Don Draper character that he has on Mad Men. So he's sort of like a slob in real life. But I like him. And here's the other thing about John Hamm. Hysterical. John Hamm is one of those rare, good-looking guys who also developed a spectacular personality. He's awesome on Saturday Night Live. He's awesome on 30 Rock. He's awesome. He played Liz Lemon's boyfriend on 30 Rock. Tina Fey's boyfriend. A doctor, I believe he was. But there was something wrong with it. There was something, he had some kind of like weird peccadillo that made him like sort of a weirdo doctor. but whatever it was, he's very funny. And also, here's an interesting thing. And I hate when this happens, man. I had roommates. I had guys that I came up with in college and, you know, all of that stuff. They're all regular guys, you know? Me, I want to do radio, so maybe I'm the one that got into the entertainment world, but I certainly didn't become a celebrity. You know, I wasn't, like, famous. All of my friends are regular people. You know who John Hamm lived with in college?
Who's that?
Paul Rudd and Joe Buck.
Wow.
Before any of them were anything, they were all just John Hamm, Paul Rudd, in Joe Buck, the legendary Fox football and baseball announcer.
Doesn't it make some sense that like one made it, so the rest of them, the other two, got to follow in the footsteps?
Well, it would, you would think, if one made it first and then did like a Baldwin where they threw a lifeline to the rest of them, but that's not how it happened. I mean, Paul Rudd and John Hamm were actors, but they were different kinds of actors, and none of them had a whole lot of success until the last 5 years or so. But Paul Rudd had been in movies for years, so I think Paul Rudd kind of first had the taste of success, and then John Hamm got Mad Men, and John Hamm just blew past Paul Rudd for a short period of time because Mad Men was the most, lauded and loved show on television. But then Paul Rudd just exploded in the last 3 years. Paul Rudd is now an A-list leading man in every other movie out there. And again, one of my favorites. Joe Buck, however, Joe Buck was the son of Jack Buck. So Joe Buck was the one, if I had to put money on these three roommates back in college and say which one is probably going to make it, I would have gone with Joe Buck because his dad was Jack Buck, legendary baseball voice, and Joe Buck wanted to go into baseball as a baseball voice, so it seemed like he had the lifeline extended. But yeah, I mean, it just blows my mind, and this happens a lot. A couple other quick, strange roommate stories. Al Gore, President Al Gore, had two roommates in college. One was Tommy Lee Jones. I know, insane, right? The Vice President of the United States and Tommy Lee Jones. Long before they were anything. They were just regular guys. They were living together. And then their third roommate was someone who's lesser known, but in certain circles, extremely well known, Eric Siegel. Do you know who Eric Siegel is?
Is that what's his name?
He's an author. He's a very famous author. He wrote, famously, he wrote the book and the movie Love Story, which was, they consider it the greatest love movie ever made and all that stuff. And the movie Love Story was supposed to be, the character that Ryan O'Neal played in Love Story was supposed to have been based on Al Gore. Oliver was the character's name. And
wow.
Eric Siegel probably, or supposedly, wrote that about his roommate in college. Because the movie Love Story takes place there in college. There. But at any rate, okay, so there's another one. Oh, and here's my favorite one of all time. Dustin Hoffman, okay, is in New York, struggling young actor, doesn't have a pot to piss in, Brandon, got nothing going on in his life, desperately needs a roommate, puts an ad out in the newspaper looking for a roommate. First guy shows up, Gene Hackman. Doesn't want to live with Gene Hackman. Something happened there. Not interested. Next guy shows up, Robert Duvall. He moves in with Robert Duvall. He could have hit this, little fantasy roommate scenario with Gene Hackman, but it's like he tempted the fates. He said no to Gene Hackman, who would go on to be one of our greatest actors of the last 30, 40 years. And then the next guy that came was Robert Duvall. How does that happen?
It's no different than Jimmy, Ryan, and Sam, the mailman, living together.
Well, yeah, it
roommates.
does, because they're not 20 anymore. These guys are already
in his 20s.
Jimmy, I love you, but you're past it. You're an adult male. You're not some kid with dreams of grandeur. You're still gonna do something great, but you're not, pie-eyed and all that.
Yeah.
And okay. So at any rate, that's strange. So John Hamm, anyway. Paul Rudd and Joe Buck. All three very funny guys. Paul Rudd is very funny. Joe Buck is very funny. Although a lot of people don't like Joe Buck because he does sports. And whenever you got a guy who's very popular doing play-by-play, there's going to be 50% of the country that hates him just as Cosell. At any rate, I like Joe Buck. But they're really funny, engaging guys, but they were all three roommates. So John Hamm, the star of Mad Men, has done something that does plays against type for Don Draper of Mad Men. What he has done is he has apparently accepted a job with a teen magazine. So, like Teen Girl magazine.
Tiger Beat?
Yes, like that. Like some... And his job is that he is going to be doing video blogs for this little teen girl magazine where he's going to be giving love advice to little teen girls who are asking him questions about their boyfriends and stuff. It's called Ask a Grown Man. And John Hamm...
It makes sense, but it's like Creeperville.
It kind of is creepy, and I was interested to see how John Hamm handled it. So let's give a listen to this. This is his first installment. And I'm sorry, forgive me. I don't know the name of the magazine. It escapes my radar. Here he is, John Hamm with love advice for teenagers.
And this is Ask a Grown Man. I got some questions from the group out there. read these off the phone, so I hope that's not offensive to anybody. This is from Brittany, who is age 16-ish. Brittany, that's the other. Tell us how old you are. Seriously. Says one day a guy wanted to get with me, and the next day he already changed his mind. What do I do with this flip-flopper? Brittany, you're 16-ish, so I'm assuming he's around the same age. Give the guy a break. Maybe change his mind. Maybe you change your mind. Your oyster. You're fine. There's a lot out there. The guy doesn't get you. So, there's a lot of guys out there. And don't define yourself by who wants to get with you. I'm sure you're a person, Brittany. Enjoy that. 2, do guys care about girls' style when girls are really stylish? Does it freak them out? Is it the girl next door look that guys feel most comfortable around? That's from L, not ELLE. I don't know how old L is. Do guys care? You guys have opinions, like anybody. L, I think that you should dress and have your own style. It should be your own thing. Dress how you feel comfortable and what you feel is your own particular style, what you like. And then you'll find, hopefully, a guy who likes what you like, and then you're halfway there. You know what I mean? So don't go around trying to please guys. It's impossible. It's going around trying to please girls. You'll never do it.
We're listening to John
3,
Hamm give advice to teenage girls online.
In front of her significant other.
Is it okay if a girl farts in front of her boyfriend?
Should she feel embarrassed? This is from Anonymous, believe it or not. I was under the impression that girls never farted. So I don't feel like I am capable of handling this one. No, of course, farting is farting. Everybody farts. Go read that book, Everybody Poops. It's the same thing. Number 4, I'm 16, and I've been dating my first boyfriend for 3 weeks. The problem is that I want to do stuff, but he doesn't want to, even though he's a year older than me. He says we should get to know each other better first. I don't see why it's such a big deal. What are you afraid of? All right, S. I have to know what this stuff is. If it's making out, then he should want to do that. It's super fun. If it's having sex, there's other things to deal with. So he's probably right saying slow your roll. So quite qualified to answer that, but use your best judgment or tell somebody that has better judgment. Number 5, do guys get full on tingly stomach feeling nervous, obsessive crushes? This is from Anonymous. I really wish you put your name on this one, Anonymous. Do guys get the crushes that I'm assuming Anonymous who is a girl gets? The answer is quite simply, absolutely, of course. Because we're human beings, and we get nervous and we like girls, and that's how it works. So there. Those have been my 5 questions. I hope they've been helpful. I'm 41 years old. You have to pay attention to me, but it's probably in your best interest. Okay. You're probably all too young to watch Mad Men, so I don't know. Games.
All right, there's John Hamm from Mad Men with new job, his side project for some teen beat magazine, giving advice to young girls. Now, look, first of all, you're right, Brandon. You said that there is definitely an opportunity for this to come off as creeper. That did not come off as creeper. That came off as sort of like a sweet older uncle or brother who really didn't want to go into details about anything that was too lascivious or, sexy. But I think he handled it well. I would be totally okay with him dispensing advice to my 15-year-old daughter.
But what is kind of the creeperville is the fact that it's like he's in a basement doing this.
It's like he's at his desk in his house and he's in front of his laptop.
Where he might be doing stuff underneath the table. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's funny.
Now, here's we got something we need to go into here. Here's another little piece of audio. Is it audio that we have? Because I'm not entirely certain what we have here.
Yeah, from last night?
Yeah. We should talk about this. Last night, on Wednesday, that's the big taping day here at thebarlive.com. You can find the podcasts up on the website, thebarlive.com. Last night, we featured a couple of shows that you folks ought to check out. Yeah, Y&R Radio, which is this is my little pet project. These are a couple of young kids, all in their 20s, who I think are really good. I think Joey Austin and Patrick, right?
Correct, yes.
Isn't that their names? Yeah, that's the YNR Radio guys. They do a show here once a week. Jimmy, you sit in with them as well. They're great guys, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. They have a lot of different ranging topics and all that good stuff.
They're smart. They're smart guys, which is the most important thing, I think, that if you're going to try and do you can be funny, you can do all this stuff, but you have to be smart. You can't be dumb and be able to do a talk
You know what they
show.
remind me of? They're like a level cooler, a couple levels cooler than the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, they look like they can get chicks, though.
No,
You know?
they're cooler.
Yeah.
First of all, the dude got a chick on the Big Bang Theory. Couple guys got
yeah,
chicks.
but it's a TV show.
Yeah, but no,
in real life, those guys ain't
But
getting
they
chicks.
remind me of the cooler version of those guys.
Yeah,
If they
okay.
had cooler brothers, that would be these guys, the YNR guys.
They're very smart guys. They know a lot about what's going on in the world. They have really interesting conversations, and you should check them out. And now I know, and look, it's always hard when you ask someone to check something out that's new, because the one thing, and this is where I think the podcasting world has a bit of a disadvantage. When a new talk show comes on a terrestrial radio station, it's going to be there every single day, and you tune to that station every single day, and you're in the habit of doing it, you are more likely to give a new show a chance. You will hate the new show. I promise you, folks, the first time, look, Kelly and I, it took us almost a year to break into the top 10, okay? Once we broke into the top 10, then we were top 5 for the rest of the time that we were there, and we went to number 1 a couple of times. Sorry, bad radio, but we had a good fight. We took so much crap when we first started. Nobody likes something new. So I'm asking you folks, with an open mind, check out the YNR show. With an open mind, listen to a number of episodes. The thing with talk radio is that you have to get to know the person you're listening to. You have to understand when they're being cynical for cynical's sake, when they're being sarcastic. You have to understand the personality of the people to truly understand what they're doing. And the only way to do that is you got to listen for a couple of days in a row before you actually decide that you don't want it. These YNR guys, take it from me, I like them. I think they're good. I'm proud to have them here, Brandon. I know you're proud to have them here, too.
You know, behind the scenes, most likable guys on radio. Seriously, if you get to know them.
I love them.
And then we have the other show that's the most unhealthiest show on radio.
Oh, jeez. Okay, and now let's talk about the other show.
The unhealthiest show on radio.
Now, this is a completely different show. This is Big Dave. Big Dave, Lane, and Mel. Mel is from Australia. She's a girl. So, you know, if you like your cute girls and all that stuff, you should check that out. And Lane, I don't know what the hell Lane's deal is, but I told Brandon last night, I said, something goes missing around here, I'd go to Lane first.
You know what's funny? Let's describe the show, though. The show, we call it the most unhealthiest show, is what we tagged it last night, label it.
Yes.
For this reason. They smoke
All
a lot.
smoke like chimneys.
Now, Dave doesn't smoke. He prefers to eat instead of smoking during the breaks.
Yes.
So they smoke.
Yeah.
Dave dips.
Mm-hmm.
They cuss a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them's very, very overweight.
Big Dave is Big Dave because he's big. What is this guy? Can you see him?
He's in the picture right there.
Can you see him right there?
Look how much bigger he looks than that other guy
Look
that's
at that.
posing.
Look at the other guy back there. That dude looks like Chloe. Remember Chloe from the Russ Martin show? I don't know who that guy is.
No, they're standing side by side there, Pugs. It looks like he's far away.
Yeah, he's in his wake. Yeah, Big Dave is a sizable man.
And also for unhealthy, there's also the mental aspect, which we're about to get into. I mean, they got this whole unhealthy thing covered.
So here's how they do it. They walk in before they park their cars, and before they can walk into the building, they have to stand out in front and smoke cigarettes. So before with their bags, everything, they smoke a cigarette before they walk in. They just smoked the cigarette in their car, but now they're walking in and they're going to smoke another cigarette before they come in. I just don't get it.
Now,
And then they always have a gigantic bottle of whiskey that they will drink the entire bottle of whiskey throughout the course of their show.
yes.
If you are watching and you're fast forwarding, you can use the bottle of whiskey almost like a clock. You can tell
Like a sand dial.
Yes, it is. You can tell where they are in the show by how low. They walked in with a full bottle of whiskey last night, and by the time I left here probably about 8:30, 9 o'clock. That whiskey was 3/4 of the way gone.
That's when the show really gets intense.
Now they're drunk, and and these people, and this is why you got to check out the Big Dave show. They don't like each other. They don't like each other. They tolerate each other, and I think they understand that they've got an interesting dynamic here on the show because they don't like each other.
Yeah, it's a train wreck, man. Every show, and I told you so today, I tried to describe it to you, and it's freaking, you just sit there intense. I went and got popcorn last night.
Yeah, you did. I was leaving an hour before this whole thing last night went down, and then you're like, I'm going to get some popcorn. I'm like, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay.
And you got what you wanted.
I want to see how these drunken fools handle this little situation that they found themselves in last night. So last night, Sammy, did you happen to see any of this last night? Did you witness what we're about to describe?
I saw a little bit, but I didn't tune in long enough.
Oh, it was just absolutely insane. These guys, for some reason, at some point, they began talking over one another. And this is Jimmy. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you were in here for the whole thing, and I think I came in a little bit late. But from my point of view, it appeared that Big Dave had gotten upset because Lane and Mel were talking over one another, and it just sounded like a cluster F. And that's going to happen. You're halfway into a bottle of like really cheap, gross hillbilly whiskey.
Right.
Of course, you guys are going to talk over each other. So Dave decides that he is going to back out of the conversation and just sit there and pout. And he turned the show over to the other two.
Yes.
And whenever you do this, I mean, I'm guilty. I have done it. I have said, fine, you guys just do the rest of the show. And I have sat back and I've listened to Kelly and Eric or whatever. No matter what happens, when this occurs, the people you throw it to have nothing.
Yeah.
They never have anything.
But that is
They're
why you
never
throw it to
prepared.
them, right?
Right.
I mean, that was kind of the point. Like, you're like, all right, do it.
Do it.
And you know that you got the prep right there.
And then they spend like the next 5 minutes or however long you let them twist in the wind doing things like, so, how are you today? How are you?
They did do that. They looked.
Yeah.
They almost embraced. They almost embrace each other.
Okay. So, wow, Dave's being kind of a dick, huh? They go into that. So that went on for about 5 minutes or so. And you can watch all of this. You can see it all on the podcast. Just go to thebarlive.com.
I thought we were going to show a clip of it.
But yeah, we're going to do something.
We got audio.
We need to take a
Audio.
break here, so I'm setting it up, and then we'll come back and we'll play the audio of what happened. So at that point, Dave says, well, this is ridiculous. Let's go to a break. So they take a break, and they start screaming at each other.
Yes.
They start screaming.
In front of all of us, too. I felt awkward.
Somebody's screaming, you don't respect me! And another person is on the verge of tears. And it's going on and on. And then now Brandon's popping popcorn. Yeah. And I put my bag down. I'm like, I'm going to stay. I'm going to watch this. Now, they got to come back and address this, right? So we'll come back. We'll listen to some audio. I'm not sure what the audio is, but Brandon and I then did something. You'll find it if you go and get the podcast. They have no idea that we did this. But, all right, we'll take a break. Here's what we're going to do. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll listen to this audio, and then we got a bunch of other stuff we got to do. These are the kind of things that happen here at the Sunbrew House in the Tom Green Memorial Studio on off hours while we're recording other shows, and you should check them out. Go to the Facebook page, The Bar Live. Please hit like. There's no way that we're going to be able to maintain this without some form of appreciation from you, the fine listener. So just do that. Just kick in on a little bit of like for us, and also check out the website itself, thebarlive.com. It's PMS, the Pugs Moran Show. Quick break. We'll come back with that audio, and we'll explain more what happened on the Big Dave, Mel, and Lane show last night on thebarlive.com.